in the booth, otherwise they'd fill it with like 15 people every time.
Afreeca had trouble having one coach for a long time.
Oh, hey, at least they've stabilized on that front.
That's
Credit
true.
to them. And it's not Hachani anymore.
No, he's playing now. Where's Peekaboo, Monty?
Where is Peekaboo? We don't see him.
At all, really. He's not in the studio. He hasn't come by. Nagne has been around, but no sign of Peekaboo.
Even Rookie has been back from China to watch KT, but Peekaboo has not been. Shame on you, Peekaboo.
Shame on you, Peekaboo.
All right, Fiora and Kog'Maw are starting bans.
And our last draft was pretty much an MVP vote of the most visible champions so far in 6.2, so we'll see if Afreeca in particular, because SKT have felt like put together 4 to 5 champions that we expected to be heavily contested in one team comp. So we'll see if that can happen again. And bans certainly don't show anything massive changing, at least in the champion pool that's going to be available.
But Afreeca needs to decide whether or not they're going to ban the Rise now, which pretty much everybody does against SKT. SKT was the one who banned it last time, but I'm pretty sure they're going to pick it up on the red side in the first round if they have the opportunity.
And we're talking about champions like Lulu, Kalista, Rise, Gangplank, all looking to fall to the cracks. Alistar as well.
Same bans from Afreeca. I don't think SKT is going to ban that Rise on the red side. And oh, they are. That is actually really surprising considering that that has been usually the #1 ban, not only in the league, but especially against SKT with Faker's prowess on that champion.
And whose Rise are you really respecting on the side of Afreeca? It doesn't strike me as a Mickey champion, and Ixu certainly struggles to impress on any champion outside of Hecarim last season and the Poppy this season. So a bit of a bizarre one, bit of a head-scratcher from SKT.
Yeah, I wonder what their thought process behind that is. Certainly they're going to be able to pick up Kalista, Alistar, or Lulu. I mean, they're going to get 2 of those on the red side draft.
Afreeca reaching for Graves over Kalista.
Oh boy.
Oh, this is the start of a scary, scary
Kalista,
draft from
Alistar.
SKT.
Yeah, Kalista, Alistar here. Corki still available. Okay, they're just going to take Kalista and Corki, not even playing with that Alistar. That priority has gone way down.
I feel like a lot of teams on the red side choose ambiguity. SKT just picks power. They've done this a lot of times this season, and there's no ambiguity about where Kalista and Corki are going.
Indeed. The Braum, again, that possibility, but I would not, under any circumstances, give SK Telecom Kalista Alistar.
I would also not draft Braum over Alistar when you don't have Kalista available. When Kalista's launching the Braum into the backline, suddenly he's an initiator. With any other AD carry, he is a much more defensive champion. As that Rumble's locked in, outside chance of top, but you have to think Bengi's taking it into the jungle.
Zuka, noted Rumble player, and we have seen this season the occasional odd Rumble top, so at least it remains as a flex pick, but I agree with you, probably going to Bengi, and with 280 carries already from Afreeca, that's going to present a lot of backline threat.
I have a dream, Monty. I have a dream, and that's Rumble in the top lane, Nunu jungle. I think it's Nunu time from Bengi. This looks like a Nunu comp. I want to see Nunu as a last pick here, but they have the flexibility at minimum. As you mentioned, Duke is a good Rumble. It felt like other tanks weren't so much in his wheelhouse when we saw him for Najin, but his Rumble was always pretty impressive. Let's wait and see where this draft goes from Afreeca. They already have 280 carries locked in.
Kassadin, that'd be a pick we haven't seen in a while.
Into Corki. That sounds really bad.
I am on board with you for that, and it is going to be really bad.
Well, take the Ignite and just hope for the best, I guess.
Ugh, no setup for the Graves gank in the mid lane either, so GP actually will be the lock-in. That is a combination of Cannon Barrage and the Equalizer on the back line of the Afreeca Freecs, and that is going to be brutal to try and teamfight against. The zone is just so huge.
Just think of the effective zone of Alistar walking up, an instant AoE from both Gangplank and the Rumble. One thing you might mention is not much CC in the lanes outside of Alistar, so Rumble doesn't necessarily have the best gank paths, but if he just farms up. Touch more on Rumble. It's my first time casting a Rumble jungle game. I somehow managed to dodge the first 4 or so, but excited to see it locked in here. But
You have been extolling to me the virtues of the Jungle Rumble for quite some time, Papa Smithy.
Well, I want to hear you extol to me the virtues of mid lane Cassidy against Corki with Ignite.
I can't do that.
You could try. Come on, keep reaching.
I can't.
Keep
I
reaching.
can't do it. I can't. I can't do it, Papa Smithy.
Is that our first Caitlyn of the season?
Yes, it's been played a lot in other regions.
Europe, particularly.
Yeah, and A, too. So, a lot of Caitlyn outside Korea, but it has been a rarity here, trying to abuse that range advantage. Try and take down some of these turrets, but man, this is not looking good for Afreeca. I don't really know what they want to do with this composition.
All right, I have an idea. Caitlyn and Braum in the mid lane. I think that's what they need to do. I don't like them going anywhere else.
Actually, that's not a terrible idea. Well, we're going to see if they have the same one. Game 2 coming up.
Everybody wants to rule the world. There's a room where the light won't find you. Holding hands.
Welcome to Game 2, SK Telecom versus Afreeca. SKT up 1-0 at the moment. Going to be closing this out. Faker will be on the Corki this time, taking over. Sang had a very good performance on it in the last one, picking up that MVP award. And now it's Faker's turn against Mickey, who is playing Cassidy for some reason.
Maybe he's just feeling it, Monte Cristo.
He's got the Cassidy feeling deep in his gut.
Pawn was definitely
likes
guilty of that for a long time.
Likes to be auto-attacked mercilessly by a mid-lane AD carry. Hoping against hope that he gets another shot at a magnificent 1v1 Faker kill, all in. Flash Cassidy, pre-6, Ignite.
Look, I think if he showed up in the mid lane against Corki as Flash Teleport Cassidy, that was just complete no idea whatsoever. So, I mean, you have to take the Ignite. You have to try something, but the Cassidy lock is a real puzzling one.
The problem with Afreeca's composition is it just doesn't do anything well. And look at this invade.
Well,
they've been caught out. Wolf actually gonna flash right here, and that's going to be the Braum, and this is gonna be first blood for the Afreeca Freecs. Actually, Wolf gonna get out. Mickey trying not to give it to him, and he's gonna actually cue Faker. Faker with the heal, and Wolf's still gonna die in the end. But they got the Ignite out of Mickey, but there you go. Mickey gets first blood, so now they cast it in. Worth.
But look at the summoners used. That's 4 summoners invested for 3 and a kill. So is it going to be a big factor? It is on the Cassidy, which you like, but he's already half health. Was always going to struggle in this lane. Has already chugged one of those corrupting potion stacks, and of course doesn't have teleport to get back into lane. If there's a world where somehow Faker of all people cannot harass Mickey and keep him 20, 30, 40 CS behind, maybe it's worth, but looking like struggle street for Afreeca.
Yeah, that little shield, of course, will be... Oh, man, Duke just taking it to Ixu. There you go!
Boom!
Flash parlay. The solo kills are real tonight, Papa Smithy. Well, we'll figure out what happened up top in just a moment. Ixu TP'd into the top side and then is now dead, so this is going to be a very ahead gangplank.
I mean, the only virtue you can say of Afreeca is that at least Mickey didn't have to flash to get that kill, because if Mickey didn't have flash as well in the mid lane, it'd be even worse. We missed what came earlier, but heavy price to pay for whatever trading Ixu did up top. Crazy stuff.
And this is another aspect of the lane swap, because the reason why Bang and Wolf were even in there in the first place was because they thought the lane swap might be coming through, and they were trying to harass to see if they were starting on the weak side, and that just ended up really poorly for them. But this is the new lane swap meta we've got going on here in Korea. It's a lot of guesswork and somewhat risky face checks.
I mean, to be fair, 4 out of 4 Afreeca games this week have been crazy at level 1. They've been the ones that have been pioneering different strategies. So the way I like to conceptualize it is that Afreeca trying things, are giving us a tutorial of the options at level 1, and we as casters can work out what works and what doesn't.
And honestly, Snowflower and Songyu did a very good job for being there as a 4-man unit together on that side of the jungle. They did preempt that pretty well. So nice reaction from Afreeca, but they still don't end up with a lead after the solo kill courtesy of Duke. Duke was decided he's going to go back and pick up some components right here. He's going for the most aggressive harass possible with that amount of gold, which is a Sapphire Crystal for more mana and the Longsword for damage.
He didn't get cute. I was expecting the Cull to be purchased instead of the Longsword.
That would have been something.
I mean, I can only speak for my solo queue games, but Sapphire Crystal into Sheen Cull is my core. I have a lot of lane pressure, Monte Cristo.
I bet you do. This is still pretty bold, though. You will almost never see a GP doing this, but with that kind of kill lead, why the hell not?
I mean, the last time we saw a GP get a kill lead, it was basically a pseudo-catalyst. Lyra's low.
Yeah, Lyra is low. Lyra has his flash, but he will slow him up with the smoke grenade and then back off. This is still going to be some nice counter jungling here from Bengi. We'll be there to give him a little bit of a helping hand and take that away as they get the deep wards in. Bang doing excellent work keeping this lane pushed up, even though that kill onto his support at level 1 didn't give them perhaps the advantage they would have liked. Faker now starting to open up a rather significant CS advantage, and guess what? It's only going to get worse with that Sheen.
Oh boy, Mickey does not want to face check.
No, he doesn't.
This Rumble.
Faker's just going to be there actually with the Valkyrie, and Bengi is going to follow this up, forces the flash. There's the Force Pulse on the opposite side. Lyra is there, Ignite is ticking, but Bengi has the shield and the speed to get out, and SKT coming out with a much better end of that little trade.
Seeing fighting over here as well. Wolf stunned up, but we'll get away.
So flash force, but they got 2 flashes and an Ignite in return. This is great for SK Telecom.
Finally, a little bit of time. Talk about the good old Jungle Rumble. Once again, not Jungle Rumble, Rumble in the Jungle. That's not happening, sadly, but...
Why has that yet to happen?
I don't know. Maybe they think that the voice will tilt people, because honestly, the voice samples from Super Galaxy Rumble in English or Korean.
So
super annoying. Whenever you step away from your PC, tab out, and then come back, and there's just this anime character shouting like, wait, what? Oh, okay, it's just the start of the game. It's just Super Galaxy Rumble.
I hate that skin so much.
That's the point, I think, really. But the big thing about the champion is what he gives you and what he doesn't, because people are looking at Rumble and they're like, why are people jungling him? He has a strong laning phase in some situations. Why? He's been pretty ever-present in the top. We're seeing him in the top, speaking of. Duke 6 as well.
Wow, Ixu just getting caught out. Well, that's W's not really going to help you there, buddy. And there you go, the harpoon slow. Ooh. Nice flash, actually, from Ixu. He'll get out of that.
That was a flash with very small margin for error as well.
That was nicely done. I thought Ixu was dead to rights there, but he flashes one of the most difficult walls to flash in the game. Still going to be taking a beating, though, as he's not going to be able to effectively farm this out. There's a barrel that's just sitting right there in case he decides he wants to go back into lane.
Seeing Lyra just hold still in bottom. They're looking for Bang to go aggressive here.
No, that's not going to happen. Wolf is going to get a 3-man knockup as they cluster to follow up on the engage from Snowflower, and that's just quite easy for SK Telecom to walk away from. Ixu went back underneath the turret, did have some sustain with his corrupting potion, but he's still continuing to get poked out, and SKT in a really good position now.
And we have to talk about some of their champions. Rumble, one thing he will offer from the jungle is, of course, going to be Dragon Control. You don't want to fight in jungle against a Rumble with Equalizer at any point. That means they're going to have excellent Dragon Control with that, and just has really good clear speed. His clear speed's very fast, like Graves in that. He provides backline threat and Dragon Control. Those are the 2 big things you get from Rumble out of the jungle.
Rumble out of the jungle will be taking the Herald buff. Faker on the recall right now. 20 CS advantage at 8.5 minutes into this game, and working very quickly towards that Trinity Force.
Another small thing about Rumble, doesn't need blue, doesn't need red. Neither of the buffs are big for him, so he's very able to donate over buffs. Given his mechanic, doesn't auto-attack a lot, does get in a couple when he overheats, but in general, he's very low econ, very low item floor. You can build into Runeglaive and then everything afterwards gravy, but you're not demanding any item pickups. So other reasons why it was a top lane pick, now that they've changed the monster damage.
I think there's a special delivery about to happen here for Ixu, and Faker just gets right behind him. Ixu just going to die before he can even complete the channel on his ultimate right there. Started swinging that hammer, but no other result except his doom. And now Bengi trying to take away this blue buff. Faker and Duke will come down for the assist. Lyra and Mickey have to be really careful. I don't think they actually want to fight this, or I could be wrong. I'll try and pursue Mickey around the outside. Mickey with some fancy footwork. And they did get the blue buff, actually. I think Lyra ended up with it. Nope, Faker got it.
Faker got it. As you mentioned, we go back to just wailing away on this Kassadin.
Wow, Mickey tries to sidestep, and Faker now going all in. He wants this revenge. Is he going to get it? One more rocket's going to do the trick. No! And in fact has to use the heal to get out from underneath the turret. Equalizer also misses.
He actually took one tick from the Equalizer, but that wasn't enough. Got away from it. Didn't have his flash. Really close stuff, but Mickey lives.
Still, that's just going to be more CS over to Faker right now. Mickey has his Ignite. He'll have his flash back up soon, so there is going to be counterplay if they want to go aggressive onto Faker. But I mean, Graves and Kassadin, sure they've got the damage, but a lockdown onto Corki and actually finishing that kill while he has Valk up will be quite difficult.
And lockdown onto Corki's one again. The reasons why we see him ever present in mid. Valkyrie, I believe, is the longest targeted dash in League of Legends after Kassadin was reworked a long, long time ago.
I don't know, that Poppy dash is pretty huge.
That's true.
Targeted, yeah. So yeah, Mickey gonna come through, and there's the one rocket, has the potion moving it. Oh, that was so close.
And then look, one tick of Equalizer, but oh my goodness, there was a second one. He actually lived on probably single-digit health.
Very low. Well, Duke gonna go all in again against Ixu, but Ixu
fishing for a crit. Doesn't have any crit items. Yeah, not gonna get it.
Nope. Does get the harassment, and these CS leads are becoming overwhelming for SKT. They're dominating all three of their lanes right now. Bottom doing okay, but mid and top in a real disaster zone. And there's a dragon for their troubles. 2K and the first dragon of the game will be the advantage for SKT.
Even though Caitlyn, as a champion, in a 1v1 sense, really deals with Kalista well, the fact that it's Kalista Alistar, once the levels start coming in, you just don't really have that scope to open up massive CS advantages. Because, okay, Caitlyn free hitting from 650 range, you can build up a really good trading advantage, but whenever the all-in comes through, Kalista can skip into range, she won't be able to get away from her. Kalista does have kill pressure, specifically with a lane support like Alistar, so not able to grow any semblance of a CS advantage. In fact, Bang's ahead in CS.
Yes, he is. Taking that advantage. Faker now pursuing Mickey. Getting more and more damage on him. He's about 40 CS ahead. Increasing that lead with every passing wave, it seems. Still don't know what this Kassadin was supposed to do in this composition. The scary thing about this to me, Baba Smithy, we haven't really broken down Afreeca's comp, but what is Mickey? Usually Kassadin has dive buddies or some other threat on the back line. He doesn't have anything right here. He doesn't have anybody to go back with him, and they're going to dive, actually. Songyun under the turret, Bang, gonna pop out, and Faker is there to help finish the kill. Bang will take it, take that final shot as he was hopping backwards to disengage from the aggro. Wolf zoning Snowflower and Lyra out. But yeah, Mickey, who is supposed to go back there with him? And he can't go back. I mean, there's too much damage. He will just explode in the back line to 280 carries and a gangplank.
I mean, some apologies to Poppy, right? Poppy definitely can get in the back and start tussling. It's just, usually when we think about the Poppy initiations with large burst, and maybe 4 or 5 item Kassadin has that, but nobody else really does. And then suddenly, it's just Braum trying to fend for 280 carries.
Right, but why take Braum when they could have taken Alistar and then the Kassadin? If you want to play the Kassadin, you got to go all in.
I mean, honestly, the Braum is a mistake. I mean, we were talking about the Braum precast. If you have the Kalista, there are some scenarios where I don't mind Braum over Alistar, but when they've already got the Kalista, Alistar should always be selected over Braum.
The Braum, when the Corki is picked, does make sense, right? You want to stop a poke comp from developing that you can't do anything against, but you can also just take Alistar and Kassadin, and that poke composition is going to have an extremely difficult time setting up.
I mean, you handed over Kalista Alistar just on a simple fact. The fact that they could get those champions over multiple courses of the draft is just disgusting because they do everything together. The synergy between them is immense, and Braum doesn't have any initiation potential whatsoever.
Yeah. That's going to be quite tricky. Your initiation consists of a Poppy E or Cassidon dying, basically. It's true. It's true.
Cassidon initiation, dying in the backline. Well, you could buy a Zonia's. Zonia's in the backline.
Well, he's going to buy Rod of Ages first.
And a Dark Seal.
That's it. Oh, yeah, that's weird. He's getting real desperate.
Dade style here. When in doubt, build that Medjai's.
Well, this kind of deficit, I suppose you kind of have to go for that. You're getting absolutely wrecked in the mid lane.
To be clear, this was not a time to pick Cassidon when he picked Cassidon, so...
Yeah. He even got that first blood right at level 1. It can't get much better than that.
Actually do hear the gangplank ult going down somewhere. Missed where that was. Maybe pushing back the minion wave in top,
Yeah,
I
I think
guess.
it was just a minion wave push.
Faker's actually shown a bit of respect. He's gone for the Hex Drinker instead of finishing off the Trinity Force. Then he doesn't have to show Mickey any respect at all.
Wow. Rod of Age is just complete too, so that item doesn't have a lot of value yet. Starting to stack that up. A little bit late, couple minutes late actually on that Rod, but to be expected given the scenario that has been unfolding. Meanwhile, Bang's just going to take that turret. SK Telecom. Duke is just going nuts right now. Ixu going to be able to disengage, has to flash. Here comes Faker though, no package. There's one rocket. There's two rockets, and that's it. The finisher, courtesy of Faker. Bengi and Faker moving up into that top side. And Faker's just been unleashed on the map. He's kept this turret pressed up so much that he can just walk wherever he wants with this package. And that's another problem. New Corki in this matchup. Didn't have the package there, but we saw it in the bottom side earlier. He gets so much room to move on the map and tower dive. It's just disgusting.
I don't think we're adding any value to this cast, explaining that SKT effectively have 3 winning lanes and our SKT. Bengi might be caught, still will live.
TP canceled.
But you look at the CS values, 40 CS advantage, 30 CS advantage, and then a slight advantage in the bottom. They've had complete map control. Corki's been under Cassidon's turret, effectively diving him for harass a majority of the first 15 minutes. The draft from Afreeca was a head scratcher, and nothing in the game has validated it outside of a chance level 1 kill.
A little bit of damage there. Up front onto Faker with the Caitlyn ultimate, but not going to do a whole lot. And we're just waiting. 2 turrets already down in favor of SK Telecom. And if it wasn't for that first blood onto Wolf, SKT would be on their way to a perfect game, Papa Smithy.
This is a fair point. Perfect game outside of level 1 potential. And it's just, you know, we come back to the Cassidon. You know, I was talking about the fact that you have to take Ignite, but you don't even have crazy split push in the late game. And again, how does this Cassidon ever do anything?
I don't think it does. Mickey is going to have to make a very good case.
I mean, if he had Exhaust, at least he could do the same thing he does on Corki, where he Valkyries in to exhaust people, kind of dies.
Wow. Ixu still just getting mercilessly harassed by Duke.
I mean, it's 2 levels, 50 CS basically. We know that Gangplank in melee matchups can harass if he gets a good start, and solo kill was certainly the epitome of a good start.
And here we go, last turret in the outer ring is falling right now. SK Telecom will pick up that gold and back out. Wolf zoning them out from the back.
This draft is up there with that famous CJ Entis draft, Monte Cristo.
Yeah, this is pretty terrible.
The top lane Fizz, mid lane Cassidon.
Just remember they first picked Graves too and gave away Corki, Callista, and Alistair.
Apologies to Gangplank.
Yeah, I mean GP is good, but he's not Callista, Alistair dominant good.
You didn't mention Corki and
Oh yes,
dominant,
Corki.
the most dominant of the champions. Oh boy. Well, I mean, maybe Afreeca have an early reservation for birthday plans.
That's right. Got to celebrate somewhere. Cake's already lined up. They scheduled the birthday party clown, so can't be late for that. Bang actually just got face check a brush right there and have to back off. And their ace in the hole will be blocked. TP coming in. Actually going to complete right there. They're still going hard. Ixu with a nice knock up. And now Bengi going to maybe fall. No, doesn't quite die. Lyra looking for a Q right now. He's going to get in there. Nice Q. Takes out one. There goes Bang. And Afreeca going to follow this one up with 4 kills. And a triple there for Lyra, who found just a beautiful spot to end the line.
No one can call SK Telecom spoil sports. There's a nice birthday present to Afreeca.
That's right, getting him back in this one a little bit. They're still 5,000 gold down at less than 20 minutes, but Afreeca have a chance now to take a turret.
Might be able to push some structures like you mentioned. Now Cassidy's in an off lane. They're good gold in the pockets. We're watching their replay. The big question mark here is Bang. What is he doing face checking? Someone else can be putting down those wards that has some semblance of disengage. Duke hasn't teleported. It's a huge 3-man knockoff from Ixu. He's the real MVP. And then Lyra, smart pathing. You don't normally see end of the line being super effective when it's not being hit against a wall, but there was nowhere for SKT to go.
Yeah, there was a lot of slows there, constantly hitting SKT too, so they couldn't actually get out of the Graves queue. And Duke there with a very late teleport to his doom. Poor location, and he could have actually taken a tier 2 for that had he wanted to. But that's going to cut the gold lead down from 5 to about 3.5.
Let's talk about IEM for a moment. SKT going to be going over to that tournament after this series. Do they go in as favorites for that tournament?
I think probably. Especially since Ever isn't even #1 in Korean Challenger right now. And but QG, well, they completed their first round robin undefeated. Did have a little bit of a hiccup against OMG.
Would this be the first tournament ever that SKT didn't go in as favorites? Because I think QG do actually deserve that title when we've seen so many sidesteps against both top and bottom teams from SKT.
I don't know. QG has a lot of macro problems still, even though they've been winning these games. And sure, we've seen SKT make some team fighting or individual mistakes in the early game in this series so far, but their macro play has been dominant, and they haven't really ever been at a threat of losing, I would say, tonight.
I mean, the only clean game I can remember from SKT in the last month, 6 weeks, was Game 2 against KT. Game 1, of course, Corky got caught a couple of times. It extended the game. Game 2 was a rout, but otherwise, SKT been making those niggling little mistakes, multiple, mind you, in every game they play. So it's hard to sell them as a frontrunner.
Well, there's also the patch issue, and I think after we get off 6.2, it will be a lot better for SKT.
And it's something that you mentioned the last time we saw SKT play, is that Bengi gets the Gragas, which is a champion that he's always been good on, and again will be heavily contested come the next patch. But it's just weird. You kind of have to shake your head, because SKT, they really do keep giving openings where this was a team that would push their advantages, both their laners would overextend, they would completely choke the enemy out of resources. They were a clean practice team, and we're just not seeing that in 2016.
I think they're still probably the favorite, especially just given the teams that are being sent from North America and Europe too. A lot of the struggling sort of middle of the pack NA and EU teams will be going. SKT, if they win this 2-0, they are going to be second place in this league despite their problems.
Strange world we live in, but SKT don't look like the old SKT for the full 30 minutes of a game. That's what we've seen.
Well, credit to them, though, that they actually, in spite of those problems, did finish the last game in, 33 minutes? So the close was very decisive. Obviously, we expect a smoother snowball, but even when they make mistakes in this series, they haven't given up much as a result. You know, they gave away a bunch of kills right there and a mid lane turret, but it still appears quite unlikely that they will lose this one.
I agree. They've also given Cassidy a better time than he really deserved, given the situation. Only 20 CS behind, 1-0 and 2. No deaths on that Cassidy. Doesn't have the teleport to be a split push threat in the late game, or at least not in the traditional sense that we would expect, but is looking like he'll be team fight ready, which again is more than I would have expected given the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. That last little skirmish helped him quite a bit in terms of getting some gold from kills and assists and picking up some farm.
On a simple level, the farm is a tangential point of this. They've had map pressure finally after it looked like basically they'd have access to nothing. Getting those 4 kills, suddenly they've been breathing as Faker.
Yep, has to use the heal right there and flashes over the wall. Lyra on the run though, and he's gonna get him. Nice job from Lyra, who has been just going off this series, you have to say.
Oh boy.
Bang now caught out, and there's the ace in the hole. He's gonna get killed as well, caught out. Once again, all the ults are down for SKT, so they can't follow this one up. Afreeca making the play, and this is where you could do the Baron.
There is a smite available, but no flash on Bangi. Duke isn't around, hasn't teleported yet. Are they just going to give it up? Are they just going to give away a Baron? Nope, teleport's channeled.
Well, they don't have Equalizer, they don't have GP ultimate. Mickey now trying to turn this one around. Bengi's going to be falling low, and they're still pursuing him. There's the ultimate from Cassidy. He's going to pick up the kill with a Force Pulse, and that's another one for Lyra. They stop the Baron for now, but are they just going to turn back onto it once again? They still have 5 members here, and Ixu and Songyun still at full HP, so another mistake here. But Lyra has been doing very well this game in these team fights, knowing his limits, really helping them win that first one, and finding Faker and just 1v1ing him to pick up the Baron.
A solo kill from the jungler on Faker, and not the ward coverage here on the backside that we would have expected from Afreeca. Faker thought he was going to go away. He did not expect Lyra to be aggressive enough to literally flash into no vision, but he did it. But to me, the crucial factor was that Cassidy was standing in the brush adjacent to the Baron with no wards in it whatsoever. Was able to turn, pick up the trade kills, and take the Baron. SKT do pick up a dragon off screen while this replay picks up, but hollow victory, and given how far ahead they were, suddenly it's only 500 gold between the teams.
Yeah, and now they have that opportunity to start up here with a split push. No TPs available though, and so SKT trying to defend this, and they do have Equalizer to try and clear out some of these waves and the GP ultimate. So Afreeca have to be pretty decisive, and they're just going to group up as 5. There we go. There is the GP ultimate and the Equalizer. They're going to keep this up for as long as possible and try and split push with GP. Caitlyn traps are up, but not in a very helpful location. They will just recall. So dumping both ults immediately just to save a turret and stop the hemorrhaging of gold here. Cassidy has to go to the bottom side now. GP, no MR, and actually nice trade. Waiting for the Zhonya's to come out to trigger those barrels and get the guaranteed damage. They will lose 1 turret and fall behind in the gold count.
So let's talk about this game. We wrote off Afreeca's comp. In general, I think their pick ban was poor, but they're looking like right now, they're ahead in gold. They might win this game. How did this game pivot when we were basically ready to ink in the victory for SKT?
Well, that last one, Corki was falcing over the Baron pit, and Lyra just decided that he was going to risk the all-in opportunity when they both had flash up. So making the most out of that one, and the first one was Bang just sort of carelessly face checking, and then his team committing to it. Duke's TP there was pretty terrible.
I think it's just explained to fans that the flow-on effect of these 2 lost team fights is much more than just the gold from kills. It's much more than the kill score changing, because it's suddenly Mickey had a lot more CS than he ever should have gotten to. If SKT hadn't have passed over map pressure twice, these gold leads would never have been competitive. There never would have been a team fight where there was less than 10,000 gold between the members. But suddenly, gifted a way to get to even. Obviously, champions like Cassidy and late game Caitlyn can be a big factor in team fights.
GP ult again, burned to clear the wave. Now, SKT, we are still close when it comes to the cash in this game, but that Cassidy is going to be scary late no matter how you look at it at this point in time with a 3-0 and 3 score.
Actually has 7 stacks on the Dark Seal as well.
Yeah, that's making a big difference right there, and has the Zhonya's now the Void Staff. Still no Aegis on the side of SKT either, so they will be taking a beating from this Cassidy at this stage.
Never feels good building an item like Aegis on Rumble, but honestly, building into Abyssal right now doesn't look like it's necessarily the best choice. Someone needs to pick up an Aegis, and no one is even close to picking it up for SK Telecom.
No, Frozen Heart the item for Wolf here. And they still have the opportunity to win this game off of the 5th Dragon stack, SK Telecom. They're up there at 3, but man, who would have thought that all of that lane dominance that we saw would turn into a turret deficit for them, but the Baron really turning this around for the Afreeca Freecs, and this game they're actually taking that edge. Actually, Wolf just going to get Fates called there, equalizer dropped. He found himself on a trap after the combo. Still has the unbreakable will.
No Rylai's, no CC from anyone else means that equalizer is something that can be easily stepped away from. So important team fight cooldown down, but obviously not the longest cooldown on that ability. They're going to push up, and remember, Caitlyn's going to stick down those traps, has that ammo charge system on them now. Still has her long range. Split push from Mickey if they're not being forced into a quick 5v5 fight. If he's not punished for the teleport, certainly going to be strong. And yep, there goes the inner turret for SKT.
Not even Baron empowered anymore, but just playing with this Caitlyn and the range to make short work of these towers. So we're starting to pull out and pull away here. It'd be great for Afreeca if they could get their first dragon of the game. Lyra now with an elixir. They're really going hard at this power spike to take as many turrets as possible. Afreeca doing a great job.
Surreal that we're at this point, but Afreeca have the control of the map, and SKT, they're using critical ultimates that they need to layer to win fights, just in a purely defensive sense, just throwing out the gangplank ultimate to keep a turret up longer, just throwing out the equalizer in the off chance of a pick. Certainly haven't seen the team fight coordination and burst that we could see when this comp was played from ahead. But when it's even, you know, when the tank items, when the magic resist starts to be picked up for Afreeca, SKT, they're going to have to really, as you mentioned, it seems like Dragon is their only real point they can play with any sort of pressure, and putting down wards, pinks, or anything in that area is suddenly something they don't have access to.
No, it does make it all the more difficult. So Dragon should be coming up pretty soon, and that's going to be SK Telecom if they want to go for it. We have Bang itemizing Steric's Gauge into probably a Maw here. He needs to be tanky. He needs to get some sort of MR on himself so that he can actually survive through Mickey and play out the rest of the team fight. Everyone's starting to group up now from SK Telecom. They want to get this. What a huge line of traps right there.
New Caitlyn.
The Caitlyn DMZ has been erected right by that dragon, and are they going to try and clear this out or not? Wolf don't really have an option. They're going to catch Ixo on the side though and burn him pretty quickly. That's going to be the Poppy ult used without a whole lot of effect. SK Telecom doesn't commit anything to that fight, but they do lose the dragon.
Remember, SK Telecom are walking towards Afreeca's side of the map.
And they're going to not have a wave up in top side to go to, so they will get caught. Here comes a TP as Ixu going to come back. There's the Glacial Fissure caught in the choke point. Ixu now on the side. They're going to catch Duke, and the equalizer just not going to be enough to slow these down, and now the pursuit continues with this Kassadin. Bengi going to survive, it looks like, but they lose two, and Faker still in the Baron pit. He's going to be found out by that pink ward in the tri-brush. Lyra is going to pop over this wall, and
once again,
Snowflower pursuing him. Now they're going to come onto him. Ace in the hole. Faker is going to accept his fate as Lyra takes him down with the collateral damage.
These games always the most puzzling as an analyst, where one team drafts better, one team starts the game up better. All they need to do is play cleanly, and they will win the game, but clean is not a word we could use to describe SKT's mid-game. This game, after really impressing us with their mid-game in Game 1, and they've been thoroughly punished by Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah. To the Freecs' credit, they've been playing around these turrets so much better than they did in the first game of the series.
Be second inhibitor going down. They can kite back towards this Baron. SKT have not put a ward much further than the middle of the map, barring maybe some blue trinket wards for a long time. They just had no map pressure after basically monopolizing the map until Bang decided to face check a brush next to the Afreeca Freecs red buff.
Well, we were critical of SKT's draft in their last series versus Longshu, but you really can't be critical of the way that SK Telecom has approached the draft today. They were given all of the tools to win this game. They had a huge advantage coming out of the pick ban phase, and it looked like they would capitalize on it, and they're 5K gold lead has resulted now in a 7,000 gold deficit and 2 lost inhibitors as they have thoroughly squandered the massive opportunity that they had to win this game.
Our observer motions over that I believe the Magi is at 16 stacks. That means that you do get that bonus. Extra movement speed is online. That is going to be a Swift Kassadin.
I hear those are kind of annoying to deal with, Baba Smithy.
Yeah, I might think so.
Another attempt at the Baron here. Afreeca starting to turn. They want to get the damage down, but SKT not really taking much damage yet. Nice engage, though. Beautiful engage from Mickey. Just getting the onto Faker right away, and that's going to be a double kill for him and an easy win here for the Afreeca Freecs. Those death timers are too long. Afreeca baits the Baron. Mickey gets the flank in with the ultimate and then the force pulse for the slow, and that's going to be it. SK Telecom will be tied up in this series by the Afreeca Freecs, and we're going to be going to a surprising Game 3 as Afreeca makes the comeback, and they're just going to fountain dive right now for Wolf, and the win will go over to them with the super minions on the Nexus.
Always been the story in competitive League of Legends. Never let a Kassadin comp get back into the game, but just from what we know about SKT and how they played the early game, accepting the first blood that the Kassadin picked up, it looked like it would be kept away. It looked like Afreeca would have no way back into the game, but this new SKT lineup, one thing I can say about them is that they do leave the door ajar more than you'd expect.
Well, even after that bang face check, they only lost the mid turret for it, and the game was still well in hand. It was Lyra's play onto Faker that opened this up even further and gave Afreeca the window to make the comeback.
And then going back to the draft, we were critical of just how much they reached for that Graves.
Faker auto-attacked the Baron before valking out of the back of the pit.
That's just an attack move error,
Yeah.
you'd have to think, but we were critical about them first picking the Graves, and they certainly made it look good. Lyra, 3 wins on the trot with Jungle Graves.
Yeah, he took, but that was actually the key to that kill, because Faker was about 60% HP by the time Lyra found him on the backside. He had taken about 40% from the Baron itself. Very weird.
No other way to put this particular game too. Amazing, but we're going to a Game 3.
Well done by Afreeca. They took the opportunity given to them. They ran with it, and now we are on match point. Game 3 coming up.